There's no catching your breath. There's no rest till you're dead. There's no heaven or hell. There's no running
both in community and healthcare settings. And, well, of course, through arts and creative expression. But I'm honored to welcome you to the culminating weekend, the culminating event today, right now, of the UAB Disability Arts Festival. Through this festival, we seek to amplify voices and celebrate disabled artists and create community and connection through shared stories. This would never be possible without support from the Christopher and Dana Reed Foundation, the Craig H. Nielsen Foundation, the AIM Kirkland Family Endowment, the National Endowment for the Arts, and our Children's and Family Programming are supported by the Quarterbacking Children's Health Foundation. Before we begin, I want to let you know that there will be a talkback immediately following the performance. And also, if you have not picked up an anthology that are on the tables outside, please make sure you grab one of those before you go. That is the companion piece to this performance. Also, you might see some QR codes around. When you leave, please scan that and complete that survey for us. That will be very helpful. I want to thank our Community Advisory Committee, Lauren Edwards, Deidre Sanderson, our house managers, our technical staff, Tasha Gaines for our beautiful cast headshots out there, our UAB Center for the Arts, Executive Director Lily Anderson, all the employees of UAB Center for the Arts for everything they have done to make this festival happen. I'd also like to acknowledge Dr. Han Ewan, professor in the Department of Occupational Therapy in the UAB School of Health Professions, for his interest in expressive writing and human connection for well-being, which served as the catalyst for all the events that have led us here. So thank you, Dr. Ewan. I also want to acknowledge Salem Green and Elizabeth Vanderkamp, who were our original writers, writing coaches for the program, and they created spaces of safety and connection. To Suzanne, Anita, Pat, Sophie, and Elizabeth, it's been an honor, a joy, a privilege, a delight to work with you all. And finally, to our performers and their caregivers who have given so much of themselves, their time, and their lives to be with us over the past 2 weeks. I know you've all made sacrifices to be here, and we are honored that you trusted us to come and be a part of this. And now I would like to welcome to the stage, from where I sit,
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to all of you. We're coming to you live from Birmingham, Alabama. Excuse me for a moment. What was that? Okay. As I was saying, we are live from Houston, Texas. Wait, what I meant to say was, welcome from Milwaukee. No. That was Madison, Wisconsin, yes. No? I meant to say Green Bay, Wisconsin, or at least somewhere near Green Bay. No, no, my mistake. Warm welcome from the beautiful sandy beaches of Miami in Florida, the Sunshine State. Wait, what was that? No, okay. Oh, I understand. My fault. I'll tell them. I will. I intended to say was a welcome from the national hotspot, Phoenix, Arizona. And I can't forget to mention the beautiful state of Idaho, and of course, Pennsylvania. Now, one might add Nashville, New Orleans, Portland, Oakland, and Minneapolis. Whew. For a second there, I started to sound like Steve Harvey. We come to you from all of these places and many more. So many, in fact, that there's not enough time to mention them all. One could say we seem to come from everywhere, sort of like from sea to shining. Well, you get the point. Which means we are everywhere. And from where I sit, I would like to welcome all of you from all of us who seem to be everywhere. Now, can you all hear me okay? Yes. Because I know I'm pretty far away, all the way up here above you. And to be honest, it can make you feel, well, a little small when the person speaking to you is all the way up here. And I kind of like it up here. The good sight lines, lots of fresh air. And to be honest, the feeling of being on top of things. I remember when I was little, being where you are, below everyone and always being forced to look up. That can be tough. Mind you, I was a good kid, a really good kid. In fact, you can say I was a saint, unblemished by misbehavior or talking back. I ate all of my vegetables, I did all of my chores, I made sure to finish all of my homework before watching television, and I got good grades. But they were never good enough. You see, I'm the last of 6 children born to Haitian immigrant parents, and for them, an A was just not enough. As my father would say, "Pour qui ça pas fait A+." Or, "Why didn't you get an A+?" But undeniably, I was mom's favorite. Now, if you ask my siblings, they may have a difference of opinion. But I digress. There's something to be said about being above it all. There's a certain vantage point. When I was a kid, I loved comic book superheroes who could fly above everyone and go wherever they chose. This feels sort of like that. How is it feeling from where you sit? I know you have to look all the way up here, kind of strain your neck and tilt your chin way back just to get a good look. Well, it can make you feel, well, small when the person speaking to you is above you. And I've been there, so I feel you. At the very least, they should be at eye level. From where I sit, is not where I always used to sit. Like everyone, we get older. Things change. We learn new things. We define our beliefs. We deepen our character. We make new relationships with our family, our friends, our partners, our neighbors, with the larger community as a whole, and perhaps most importantly, with ourselves. Our stories continue to unfold, and this afternoon, we would like to share our many varied stories with you.
We come from everywhere, all different places, no different languages, have different faces. Texas and Michigan and Arizona, New York and Florida and California. We're neighbors, friends, or kin, grandpa or grandma.
Come all the way from Wales
to Alabama.
The world we live in can set your mind reeling, but then it helps when you share all the feelings. Like when I look at the sky up above it, somehow makes me wanna cry 'cause I love it, and gets me wondering why we can't all fly away. Nashville or Rockaway, Memphis or Austin, New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Philly or Boston, we soon discover we so much in common. Whether we're from Tennessee or Wisconsin, but if universal thoughts cause a conundrum, it's only natural because we come from everywhere.
recently. Somebody asked me what I do. Well, I'm a poet and a writer. I'm a yoga teacher and a painter. You could say I'm an eager adult. And I'm a wife.
I'm a husband and a service dog co-pilot.
I'm a father and a son.
I've been told I'm an optimistic realist.
I'll admit it. I'm sensitive.
And I'm tougher than I look.
Maybe too sensitive.
I'm a daughter.
I'm a daughter and a mom.
Oh, I'm a mom.
I'm a mom, an auntie, and a BFF since kindergarten.
I'm a mom, a sister, and a Mimi.
A Mimi?
Yes, a Mimi.
Okay.
I'm a mom too, and an evaluator, and a celebrator, and an investigator.
I am an advocate.
I'm an advocate.
I'm an advocate.
Me too.
I'm the devil's advocate.
I'm a work in progress.
I'm liberal. I'm prickly, but I'm forgiving. Well, I'm working on that.
I'm an educator.
I'm a learner, an outcome of 43 years of teaching, and I'm a faithful friend.
I'm a hard listener, and since losing my husband, I'm a widow.
I'm a griever.
Since 2019, I've been a counselor, helping teenagers and adults.
And I cry at beautiful things.
Well, I am a social worker. And my motto is, do no harm, but take no crap. And did I mention that I'm a New Yorker? Not upstate, not Long Island, not Westchester. New York, as in the city. I'm a New Yorker, born and bred in New York City, not upstate. I'm a New York native from back in the days of Koch and Cuomo, when Times Square was full of peep shows and head shops and punk rock and streetwalkers. No sign of Disney. Man, I love this city. New York, New York. 'Cause I'm a New Yorker. New York, New York. So I meet my friends at Penn Station, 'cause the grungy subway, they don't love the way I do. We grab a cab, I sit up in the front and say, 30 Rockefeller Center. He says,
What?
Got my phone in my hand with the map pulled up. Tiny little destination marker, clear as frickin' day. He says,
You can walk. It's only 12 blocks away.
I say, 30 Rockefeller Center. Sometimes it's a language thing. New York, New York, New York, New York. I show him my cane and say I am literally unstable. So are you gonna make that fare tracker click? And in true New York cabbie style, he sighs and starts the meter because he's not a prick. And so we dance. I know this dance, the one you do if you're a front seat passenger and the driver speaks to you. I ask his name, how long he's been driving, where is he from, does he like the job?
Hassan, 17 years, Bangladesh, not at all.
He has 3 children, he isn't a driver by trade. He's a master tailor.
For 35 years.
Has a little shop in Jamaica, Queens, where he makes repairs and alters clothes, and he asks if I have a tailor. Do I look like I have a tailor? He looks at me out of the side of his eye.
You could be. You seem like a classy lady.
And right there it opens up.
Are you married? What do you do? Why are you here? What's with the cane?
By the time the ride is over and I've paid the fare, my friend Hassan the tailor will drive me anywhere. And taking my favorite dress, yes, he gives me his card. That's how it is in New York, even when it seems hard. And if I'd been able to walk 12 blocks, I wouldn't have a personal tailor and a ride to the show. Take it from me, a New Yorker. There are no strangers, just fellow flecks of light, making up the most pointless, dramatic, heartbreakingly beautiful, Times Square-worthy billboard that you've ever seen in your whole damn life. New York, New York, New York, New York, New York, New York.
Hi.
Hey. Hello. Hello. Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. I heard that you are a yoga teacher.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been some sort of teacher for ages. I've taught English and art, and I was a coach. I coached basketball and girls track. With the yoga, I've just been practicing for so long that I decided to become certified. But now I modify the poses that don't feel right, and I don't do any arm balances anymore. I can't do a headstand, but I'm back to calling myself a yogi. You're a teacher too,
Yes.
right? Yeah?
Yes. So I taught college at a school of education, and I always loved it. But one Saturday, I found myself lying on the sofa all day watching an entire season of America's Next Top Model. I am a professor of education. High fashion really has not been one of my interests. And I felt so guilty for doing nothing. I said to my husband, I don't know what's wrong with me. From where he sat, he said, it's okay to rest. You've been so tired. It's been a hard semester.
I know this. I've done this confusing of our kind of fatigue for just being tired. I remember the numbness in my feet creeping up to my waist and the gradual slowing down of my walking speed. That was not just because I was tired. And then the lack of sure-footedness while hiking.
I remember at the end of that semester, I went to a choral concert. And there were twin musicians at the piano. And the choral professor was a friend of mine, and I was surprised that I was not aware of these identical musicians. So I rubbed my eyes, and I blinked, and I blinked, and I blinked. And then I saw that there was only one.
You know, sometimes I imagine a parallel universe. One where I can walk and I don't totter. One where I never have to hold on to the wall. And one where, climbing a flight of stairs doesn't feel like summiting Mount Everest.
And a place where no one says, but you're doing so well.
Or, gosh, you are doing something I couldn't imagine.
Or, you're such an inspiration.
You're really taking it on the chin. Or,
why do bad things happen to good people? Sometimes I wonder if before all of this, if I was one of those people.
Excuse me.
Hello.
Hello. How long have you been waiting?
2 hours, and dispatch said be another hour.
You are kidding.
No, it's happened to me before, so I know it's true.
I'm so sorry.
Hello, it's me again, gazing down at you all from where I sit, sort of like a king sitting regally on his throne. Well, at least in my imagination. By the way, I wasn't always here, seated like this. I mentioned before that I was born to Haitian immigrant parents, and they always spoke so lovingly about their birthplace. Haïti, maman chérie, pays à plein rivière, belle plage, gros montagne. Manger goût et organique, tant que mango, cocoyer et poisson. Pas qu'il y ait l'autre pays qui t'a campé devant Haïti, la perle des Antilles. After hearing all that, who would believe I'd never visited? Well, when I was 30, I was finally lucky enough to go there. And arriving, I finally understood the passion my parents had for this place. The beautiful scenery, the smell of the ocean air, the welcoming people, and did I mention the food? Oh. We were planning to go snorkeling, and the weather was perfect. The boat took us out to this special spot, and the water was the most beautiful shade of blue I had ever seen. I was so excited, I was the first to dive in. And I remember the water was cool. And it was a bit too shallow. It was December 2nd, 2016.
It was the 5th of January, the start of a new year. Oh, I felt strong and confident. Nothing to fear.
It was August 5th, 2017, an overcast Saturday morning. I'd made arrangements with a colleague to meet and discuss curriculum for the new school year.
It was October the 5th, 2014. Almost 11 years ago, in the Rocky Mountains in early October, the aspen tree leaves turned the brightest color of yellow. I drove down the mountain just as the sun was getting ready to set. The golden hour.
It was April of 2007. I was 15 years old.
It was fun to travel by car, to visit willing prospects on unfamiliar roads, always looking out for unexpected subjects.
It was the middle of the night, and as I was walking into the bathroom, it was like I was dreaming.
It was telling myself that numb feet during a global pandemic were not an emergency. It was not wanting to go to the doctor for fear it was going to be really bad. And when I was finally forced to go, it was really bad.
It was a time when the world around me, and then it was still.
But it was not the way you see it in the movies. You know, it never really is. Filmmakers only have so many ways to convey the inner workings of a human soul. So when someone's given life-altering news on screen, we're cued through sounds and images as to how they're taking it in. A melancholic music score, the focus comes in and out, highlighting the expression of disbelief or confusion, ironic, laughter, sighs. There's weight to that moment in the movies. It was not like that at all.
It was falling forward, striking my head on the door, and then onto the tub.
It was as if my legs had betrayed me. And then when my daughter walked in, suddenly collapsing into her arms.
It's like we're magnetized to the ground.
It was the sound of the siren of the ambulance, getting closer and louder. It didn't pass by. It stopped for me. Whatever just happened, I cannot explain, except for the fact I was no longer free.
It was a profound moment etched in my memory, followed by an even more profound moment the very next day.
It was not an injury.
It was being the youngest patient by 20 years on the neurology floor.
Yes, ma'am.
It was med students poking and prodding and sticking long needles into the wrong place in my spine. It was, we can probably save your mental capacity, but I'm not sure about your walking.
It was the third diagnosis, myelitis optimum spectrum. What is that you say? Neuro what? What is that?
It was a neurologist who said I had a tumor on my spinal cord. It was the hotshot neurosurgeon who strode in and announced to my family that I had a disease called neurosarcoidosis. That surgeon walked by my room every day for the next week, never stopping to talk to me. I think we both knew it was a bad guess.
It was not comprehended by my 15-year-old friends, or 16, or 17, or 18, or now.
Some would say it was a quarter-life crisis.
This moment, the one where you're told you have an incurable neurodegenerative disease by a sweaty wannabe doctor boy with bad teeth and worse chinos, was neither the releasing of the breath nor the first gasping gulp of air. It's that moment exactly in between.
It was my spinal cord.
I'm a substitute teacher, and some of the things the kids come up with kind of surprises me because they ask me a lot of questions about my situation having SCI, and they don't know what that means. And I have to tell them that I had an accident, and then they ask, well, what happened in the accident? And I have to explain to them that, you know, during the accident, I broke my back. And that really surprises the kids. And like I said, a light bulb goes off. They always are intrigued about the answers I give them when I talk to them about my SCI. If I was a bird, I would want to fly the tree lines and look down on the ground and see what people really think or really what they're really doing. And I would really like to walk again. If I was a bird, I'd probably spend time on the ground.
And Arizona, New York and Florida and California. We're neighbors, friends, or kin, grandpa or grandma. Come all the way from Wales to Alabama. The world we live in can set your mind reeling, but then it helps when you share all the feelings.
Like when I look at the sky up above, somehow it makes me want to cry because I love it. And it gets me wondering why we can't all fly away.
Nashville or Rockaway, Memphis or Austin, New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Philly or Boston. We soon discover we've so much in common, whether we're from Tennessee or Wisconsin. But if universal thoughts cause a conundrum, it's only natural because we come from
Did I mention that I'm a survivor? When they told me I'd be seated. I said, "You don't know who you're talking to. You really don't know who I am. You've got it all wrong. You see, I'm going to walk again. Just wait and see. See, I'm a fighter, a risk taker, an advocate. Yes, and the devil's advocate. I'm a nurse. I'm a listener and a thinker, and I'm still looking for that book, How to Be Disabled. I'm a planner and a doer. I'm a digger and a maker. And one of my favorite things to make is trouble.
Trouble? Of my 3 daughters, my youngest, Melanie, was always looking for trouble. Or maybe trouble was always looking for her. She wasn't a bad kid, oh no. She was just a daredevil, always challenging the odds, always had to be outside, always having to be doing something. I remember a time we were at a friend's farm, 40 acres to just run free in. And Melanie was about 10, and her and the other youngest one got on 4-wheelers. And they were laughing and giggling as they went round and round a 3-acre garden, just round and round and round, and way back there in the corner, it didn't turn for her. And she went right through a barbed wire fence. And the barbed wire circled around the 4-wheeler, and it circled around her. But it kept them from hitting the tree. I hear this voice screaming, "Melanie!" I run out of their house. I look, and I see this crumpled little body on the ground, and I'm like, "Oh no," and I rush to her, and I'm like, "Melanie, are you okay? Are you okay?" I was so relieved when it was just a gash on the back of her hand from the barbed wire. She had thought to put her hand up to protect her head. And I said, "Melanie, thank God you're okay." And her little sweet voice looked up and she goes, "Thank God I have a hard head."
6 years later, when I was 16 and quite frankly I had an even harder head, me and some buddies decided to go ride ATVs. We rode all throughout those woods. By the time we were ready to head out, the buddy of mine that was on the front looked back and said, "Do you want to drive the last mile to the house?" Me being little Evel Knievel obviously said yes. But as we were driving off after he got behind me, going down the road, there was a hairpin turn. I pulled harder, but it wouldn't turn. I kept trying to pull, but it wouldn't turn. I just started to slide off. All I could think of was to hold on tighter. I didn't really think that my thumb was still on the gas. When I looked up, it was a split-second decision. It's either go steady into a tree or swerve and go off a cliff. I chose the tree.
I remember when I got the call. We're airlifting your daughter to the hospital. Possible broken leg. When I got to the ER, someone in scrubs said, "You can come and tell her goodbye." And I followed her down down the hallway. And she stopped just enough to point to a door, and then she kept going. So I turned into that door, and I'm like, whew, it's bright, white, and silver, and clean. And then I see my daughter laying on a gurney high up. And I'm thinking, she's still. She's quiet. Lifeless. I started in, and I thought, now wait a minute. That lady told me I could tell her goodbye. Oh, okay. They need me to hurry, and so that they can get her in the back and fix that broken leg. Yeah. So I got to tell her okay, I got to. And I'm like, Melanie, I don't know what's going on, but we've already started praying for you. And you're my fighter. And I need you. I need you to fight harder than you've ever fought before. Mommy loves you. You fight, okay? And then I left.
I was on that gurney for almost 5 hours, alone. Neck crushed, shattered out the front. Rib cage crushed between the tree and boo. Bleeding from every organ. Left leg almost ripped off. At the end of it, it was over almost 700 fractures all over my body. I just remember hovering, watching myself. It was in that moment that I realized in that room, all you take in there is your will.
I didn't know. They didn't tell me that she was already clinically dead.
Physical death, that was nothing that scared me. That was a gain in my faith. Perceived death, that took me by surprise. The not really dead, but in the eyes of others, you may as well be. What's your purpose? What's your identity? Everyone always tried to set your identity for you. I just wanted to de-identify at that point. No. I wanted to identify as valuable. Was that so much to ask? That in the eyes of the world, I still held some sort of value. This death beyond the physical, this trauma you carry daily. I lost access to everything, everyone, including myself. Out of everything that I've lost, this superpower of invisibility turned to fear. To this day, it's been 22 years, and people still look right past me.
And the doctors couldn't get past the fact that she survived that day, but she's alive. She's here. She may not be that little girl still running through the fields, but she's here. And she's curious, and she's questioning, and a little combative.
I'm not combative. Defiant, yes, at least medically. In my situation, you have to be.
Did my life change with hers that day? Of course it did. Does my heart still break to watch her still go through more and more? Of course.
What have I learned? I've learned that I appreciate every pain, every scar, the grace that he's given me to live through the darkest moments of my life. I am who I am today because of them all.
still here?
Of course.
Unbelievable.
My first thought was to write about my accident. A split second later, I thought about writing about falling in love. A bit later, I thought about the sensation of falling through space while sleeping. It is nearly 1:45 a.m. as I am writing this. I need to get it on paper so I don't forget it. As I was thinking about the dream tonight, I remembered another dream I had 30-some years ago. In that dream, I was out of my body, watching my body float down, down, down in a body of water. I saw my wheelchair falling past my body as it headed toward its final resting place at the bottom of whatever lake I was in. On its way down, my body landed on a submerged livestock water trough. That is where the dream ended, and I don't recall ever having the dream again or one similar. I interpret that as God saving my life once again.
help you?
Me?
Yes. I was just wondering if you might need some help.
Well, I'm not sure. Is there something?
Well, I saw your wheelchair, and I thought maybe I could open a door for you, or carry something, or I could push you somewhere.
That sounds fun.
I don't mean to offend you, and if you don't need any help, it's fine.
You know, I think I'm good. No need for anything.
Well, you take care, and bless your heart.
But if I could,
Yes?
I would actually like to offer you some help.
Me? Really? I can't, well, what can you help me with? Or what are you thinking you could help me with?
Well, for starters, that sweater is really not your color.
This sweater. Well, I have always loved it, and it is so comfortable.
That's nice. But the color with your hair, it's not doing you any favors. Maybe you should save it for movie night at home.
I'll take your suggestion under advisement.
But to be perfectly honest, even before the sweater, you should probably find a new home for those jeans.
What? I just bought these, and I spent quite a lot. I have,
Any chance you'd get your money back?
What is wrong with them?
Did you take a look in the mirror before you decided to buy them?
Of course I did. And the sales lady even said they look great.
Okay. But how is she dressed?
So this color isn't good either.
No. Here we're talking about style, not color.
In other words, the whole outfit is not working.
In a word, no.
Okay. Well, I don't know you. And while I appreciate your concern for my fashion choices, I really don't think I need a tutorial on how to dress. I have been doing it for a long, long time.
Okay, well, I was just trying to help.
I understand, but I wasn't asking for any help. And how a person dresses is a very personal thing, and maybe not something that a stranger should be commenting on unsolicited.
I think I get what you're saying. But the purse. It can stay.
Just an ordinary day in my automatic chair, going over broken chunks of the pavement's wear and tear. She was struggling with her wheels that were manual and slow, and I said, hold on to me and I'll give you a tow. She said, I should get one of those, meaning my chair. But nursing school advisors said,
I wish I would have thanked you for taking me dancing. You were a natural. I was not. But every Saturday night, you smiled at my missteps on the dance floor, never once making me feel clumsy or silly. Thank you for taking me on motorcycle rides. I'd never been on the back of a bike. I was terrified at first, but I soon understood that I was safe in your hands, enjoyed with the rides with an abandon I'd never felt. I sang out loud on the back of that old Harley, belting out Stray Cat Strut, the words disappearing into the juniper-scented desert night. I smiled a lot back then. Then things got bad for me. You picked me up and dusted me off and said, stay. But our lives together were about adventure and dancing, not hospitals and wheelchairs. I needed to go. But I never said thank you for that time and those experiences. I think about them all the time, and they make things somehow easier for me now. Because of you, I'll never waste a moment feeling robbed. And I wish I would have thanked you for that.
If I could fly, I would look at the world from above. I would like to fly over the natural wonders of the world. Like mountaintops, lakes, fields, forests, and deserts. These sights I will never see from up high. If I can fly far, it would be to see other parts of the world from aloft. If I can fly strong, I would take others with me to see these marvelous sights. If I could fly, it would mean so much to not have this daily challenge with the obstacle called gravity.
much. Thank you for being here, and thank you all of you on live stream. I know we have many people watching through the live stream feed, so thank you for joining us. I'm Suzanne Costello. I'm the director of this production, and this is our opportunity to hear a little bit from people who were here with us watching, and ask a question or make a comment, but I would like first to start with people introducing themselves. I know you have a program, but this way you can put a face with a biography. So, Allison, do you want to start?
Hi, I'm Allison Hawley. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona.
I'm Melanie from the Bessemer-McCalla area here.
I am Ronald Sinus, a podcaster from the beautiful sandy beaches of Miami, Florida.
Hi, I'm Nancy Hansen from Rockaway Beach, New York City.
I'm Gina Beach. I'm originally from Cleveland. I live in the UK, and I came all the way from Wales to Alabama.
I am Connie Major, and I live 1.5 blocks from Philadelphia.
I'm Belinda Chu, representing Wisconsin from little town of Oconto Falls.
I'm James Murtha, traveling from Dexter, Michigan, originally from Frankenmuth, Michigan.
Anita Hollander from Hell's Kitchen, New York City.
Hi, I'm Sophia Pimsler. A lot of people know me as Sophie, and I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
I'm Wanda Manning, and I'm from a little farm in Bessemer, Alabama.
Hey, this is Caitlin Bagwell coming to you from Birmingham, Alabama, but originally from Gardendale.
I'm Johnny Cash. Actually, I'm Chuck Vittori from Houston.
I'm Monique Griffin. I traveled from Nashville, Tennessee.
I'm Amy Tackliff from Levittown, Pennsylvania, by way of New York.
I'm Bethany Hill Anderson, originally from Columbus, Ohio. I'm here from Tampa Bay, Florida.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Vanderkamp from right here in old Beham, Alabama.
Hi, I'm Emily Jones. I am an OT student from Alexander City, Alabama.
I'm Virginia Collins. I'm also an OT student from Birmingham, Alabama.
So might we have a question from anyone in? Yes, great.
Oh, okay.
Does somebody have a microphone over there? Go on, Noah.
Sissy, I'm going to wait until I have the microphone so the folks on the live stream can also hear you. This is Sissy Mangina, my mother-in-law.
Happy Mother's Day to me and all the mothers here. I just wanted to know if I could be the next star of the show. I'm disabled.
Oh, absolutely. Signing you up now, Sissy. Great. We have somebody in the center of the house. Kimberly, can you see this young man with his hand up? Thank you. I think it's on, honey. I think it's on. Yeah.
How much people die of being disabled?
Do you want to repeat the question, Kimberly?
He asked how many people die of being disabled.
Do you know, Anita? Do you have?
Hi, what's your name? Hi, Bertie.
Bertie Carter.
I'm glad you asked that question because it means that you really think a lot about this. And I wanted to tell you that though I can't give you a number of people who die from a disability, I can tell you that nowadays, a lot less people do, and that in fact you can be any age when you get a disability. So it could be when you're young, when you're born, or even when you're older in life. And what I like to tell people is that we should all care. Everybody should care, because it can and probably will happen to everybody at some point in their lives. But I can tell you that it has been 48 years since I first got cancer that eventually took my leg. And I'm a mother and a grandmother. So I really believe that it's good for you to know that probably more people live with a disability than die of a disability. So thank you for asking that question.
Great. Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
Let's see. Do you have a question? Okay. Well, we'll go this way.
Hi, great show.
Thank you.
I know my wife appreciates it very much.
Thank you.
She had mentioned next year, you had also mentioned earlier about a lot of the people that donate funds for this type of program, but we're seeing a lot of cuts coming from the state and local governments.
That's right.
And the federal government. Do you see that affecting the number and quality of shows in the future?
Thank you. So, thank you. So the question is, with the federal cuts of funding for the arts, is that going to impact something like this? So to not be a downer, but in the 2 weeks since I've been here, about halfway through, I got an email. Part of the funding for this program was from, as Kimberly mentioned, the Dana and Christopher Reeve Foundation, the Nielsen Foundation, the Kirkland Foundation, UAB. But the other part of the funding I went in for through the National Endowment for the Arts. And last week I got an email, as many arts groups did, saying that grant was terminated. And it was pretty, I have to tell you, it was pretty shocking to open an email with that as the title. Your grant from where I sit has been terminated. And following that was, under the advisements of the president, all these grants are now terminated. And further, which we don't know the answer to at this moment, there's a proposal that there will be $0 for the National Endowment for the Arts going forward. Okay, so what that means, and thank you for asking, is this wouldn't be here tonight, and the writing, this won't happen. I mean, this is what your federal dollars, your tax dollars are doing. They're supporting things like this. And so I think sometimes it's a little amorphous if you're not engaged in certain parts of the funding world about what these things do. But in the case of the National Endowment for the Arts, the money is a federal agency, but what happens, and in the case of this grant, I did get it from the National Endowment, but in addition to giving arts grants to organizations around the country, they also fund every state. So money goes to the Alabama State Arts Council or Minnesota Arts, and then that's disseminated to organizations within the state. So they do grants at the federal level, but they also help fund state, which means we will also lose funding in our state. I mean, our state grants will go away as well. And further, I got another email after the termination email that the entire staff at the National Endowment for the Arts dance program are leaving because they've been offered an early termination of their contract. Not for age, but so the reality is it matters if this matters. And we were asked by our state Citizens for the Arts to write appeals, although they will have no impact, but we are still doing it because the mission now is to make America healthy again. And I wrote and said, if this isn't making America healthy again, I don't know what it's doing. So for those of you that are here and are interested, it really is a time to let your representatives know that it matters that we maintain some culture and arts support in our country. It is how we keep the record of our history and our humanity alive, I think.
So I'm back. Oh,
sorry. Go ahead. He's just adding something.
Yeah. And also, she mentioned the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. They gave money to this, and their funding was also left out of the initial draft of the House of Representatives fiscal year budget proposal, so they've been left out as well. And so to second what, and they give grants for other programs like this that support people who use wheelchairs. And so to add on to what Suzanne said, if that struck a nerve with you and you want to act on it, call your representatives, don't email, call them as soon as possible and let them know to fund programs like this, and like the Reeve Foundation that support people and support not only non-arts things, but the arts projects as well. Because yes, we can make America healthy again and add more years to people's lives, but art, this kind of stuff, the arts, they add life to people's years. So please act.
okay. I am kind of midway through the house back here. Who was our next? There you are, Nancy. Okay.
Sorry, that was wonderful. It really touched me. We knew it would. Suzanne, I was wondering if you could just take us through your process of gathering the people and how you got everybody to come together.
Sure. So the question is, how did this process unfold, and how did we get to where we are now? And so Nancy and the two women sitting next to her were in another project I did here with people impacted by cancer called Raising Our Voices. So the process of this began during COVID, and there was a program that was research-based in the Department of Occupational Therapy by Dr. Jan, who's here, right? And it was a expressive write-in program called Right to Heal. So Elizabeth and Salem Green were trained in Right to Heal as a particular approach to expressive writing for healing. And they were going to work with people in Birmingham who had spinal cord injuries. However, because it was COVID, they couldn't meet in person. So it became open to anybody because it was going to be done virtually. So they started to do this program, Right to Heal, and they started to meet with people from all over besides Birmingham. And it was a 10-week process for anybody that did that program. From that point, Elizabeth said, when this ends, most of the people were like, well, what comes next? As if there'd be a next step. But there really wasn't a next step, right? And the research, I think, was positive from what happened in terms of well-being for those people. So Elizabeth, it's when we were on the stage, you guys, when we were on the stage rehearsing Raising Our Voices, Elizabeth said, well, I think we should do a show like this with these people, and we should fly them in from all over, and that's what we should do. So Kimberly and Elizabeth and I sort of talked about that as an idea a few years back, and everybody who completed the 10-week writing program could then kind of go to the next phase, and I met with them by Zoom monthly for about 3 years, and different people joined at different times. And then the next part of the process, in each of those monthly meetings, I gave a writing sort of prompt, and a lot of the prompts became the script for the show. So as they wrote these things, I collected them, and they were really the fodder for the script. And then I asked people if they would come to Birmingham for 2 weeks. Now, mind you, these people are from all over the country, and some of them maybe haven't been to Alabama. And I said, well, you really do want to come here because it's a great city. But, there's challenges about traveling. And at one point, I thought maybe we'd have a couple people. But then we got a lot of people to make the commitment, yeah. And so for the last 2 weeks, we've been at Lakeshore, which is a beautiful campus that's designed for people with different abilities, rehearsing daily for 2 weeks to put this to here. So we were rehearsing a little bit on Zoom with script, but we really couldn't start to stage things until we were in person because, you know, you can't do that on Zoom. So a lot happened. If anybody wants to just comment on what happened, Gina, you're looking at me with big eyes, just to give a little idea about the process so I don't take the whole.
Sure. So we had submitted our writings. We got the script in advance. We were able to kind of review what would our parts be. But as Suzanne said, we didn't have any blocking, any staging. And I think many of us, myself included, were particularly intimidated by the idea of dance and movement being a big part of this show. I myself have not danced on a stage since being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and really thought that that was something that was in my past that I would not be able to do ever again. And so we started with some really basic, lovely warm-ups and some exercises and moving across the floor and moving our bodies in whatever way we could to music. And then Suzanne lovingly took the things that we showed her and massaged those and put them together to create the choreography that you saw. So all of the choreography from the people with spinal cord illness or injury, we made up ourselves, and Suzanne put it to music and led us through the timing. The OT piece, and I will let either Sophie or one of the OTs talk about that. That was based on their training and the lifts and the things that they learn about how to take care of people like us. So that was another kind of aspect of bringing healthcare into the arts. In terms of the process, it was really hard. We had long days. A lot of us have a lot of brain fog, or we get really tired, we have fatigue, so memorizing a script proved challenging, but we did a really great job. And I think all of us truly gained confidence as performers, as actors, as movers, as a collaborative, cohesive group. We made really good friends with people we had only ever interacted with in these monthly Zoom meetings, you know, from here up. And so it's really been wonderful to share space with everyone. So thank you all.
In our group, not everybody could have made the trip. And in the videos that you saw, they also were writers, collaborators, sharing their stories, sharing their experiences. And I think Suzanne wanted to make sure, and Elizabeth wanted to make sure that they too would have been involved in this whole performance. Maybe not physically, but certainly here to tell their story. And I hopefully believe that you felt exactly what it is they wanted to say. And they felt like being a part of us, because we truly felt they were a part of us. Even though they weren't physically here, their story resonated through all our songs and all our stories.
Can we have you introduce the people that were in the video? I would, but I don't remember where they were from. Did you want to say something first?
I'll do it on this side.
I wanted to say, and I mentioned it on our other two performances, that none of us knew what to expect. Some of us were coerced and kidnapped to come out here, and small amounts of, no. They were very encouraging for us to come, and I think all of us are extremely happy that we did, no matter how tired we are and what issues we've had traveling. It's been an amazing experience, but none of us knew what to expect. We shared some writing, and we rehearsed some writing. We heard about Anita in songs, but not everyone thought we'd sing. Not all of us were singers, and I certainly didn't think I'd be dancing again, similar to what Gina said. So we thought we were just gonna come here and stand on stage and read to you folks, and it evolved way beyond that. And I can't say all of us would have been jumping on the opportunity to have done a whole production, but I don't think any of us regret it. It's been an amazing experience. I don't know about doing it again, but it has been really fulfilling. And we again say thank you to Elizabeth, Salam, to Suzanne, Anita, Sophie, UAB, and all the other folks that came together to make this happen.
And now that I have a microphone, can I briefly say that for me, I never thought to use my body as an instrument to express myself, because for me, and for a lot of us, our bodies are a chore, they're a job, they're a problem that has to be managed. And here I've kind of learned that that doesn't have to be that way. So thank you to Suzanne, Elizabeth, and Anita for that.
I didn't have anything to add.
So the people in the videos are, the first video is a man named Daryl Coleman, who actually lives about an hour outside outside Birmingham here in Alabama. And he was one of the first writers in the program with Elizabeth, correct? Yes. And then the second video is Don Wyatt. He lives in Idaho, and he was with me for 3 years, I think the whole time. And after working with Elizabeth, we filmed him, and a shout out to our videographer and editor, who hopefully is watching, Greg Addison in Minneapolis. He was with me running around the country filming these folks, but I wanted to get Don filmed, however, because I knew he wasn't going to be able to come. But he unfortunately had to go to the VA hospital in Long Beach, California. And he was there for 5 months. So I was sort of waiting out, like, will he get back to Idaho and we'll go film him there? But rather than miss him, Greg and I flew out to California and filmed him out in Long Beach. And then the third person on the film is Susan Hagel, who lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and also was a writer in this program from way back, a few years back. So shout out to Susan, Don, and Daryl for being a part of this.
Okay, we have another question.
Sure.
It's not a question, it's a statement. I enjoyed this show so much. The part about flying. My grandson, Carter, God bless him, he's not here today. My husband passed away in 2010. Carter called him Pappy, calls me Mammy. Carter was at my apartment one day and he said, Mammy, will you ever see Pappy again? I said, yes, I will, honey. He said, what will you say to Pappy when you see him? I said, I'll tell him I love him so much and I've missed him so much and it's good to be with him. He said, will you tell him something for me? I said, what do you want me to tell Pappy for you, Carter? He said, tell Pappy the same things and ask him, will he please help me learn how to fly? That part about flying took my heart, people. I said, Carter, Pappy didn't know how to fly. He said, yes, he did. I said, did you ever see Pappy fly? He said, no, but I know he knew how. I said, how do you know he knew how? He said, Mammy, he flew home to be with Jesus. That's how I know.
And Sissy, that's so nice because thank you for picking up on that image of flying. It does come up in the videos and in the song. And I'm just going to, Nancy, if I can kind of put you on the spot for a moment. One of the writings that we did some point, I asked people to write about an animal that they might find an affinity with and why that animal is something that they feel, kind of could be them. And Nancy wrote something about being a bird. And so when Anita wrote the song about flying away, we decided it would be appropriate then for Nancy to say those words during that song. Do you want to add anything to this? I don't want to make you say what you don't want to say.
My husband, Bill, got me to fly. We flew gliders. They're the sailplanes with no engine. And one of the first trips we took together, we got up and I look out to the sky. There's a bald eagle soaring with us. And you're in a place that's quiet, no motor, just the earth, the wind, the thermals are giving you lift. And you're just one with nature. So I know the line says, when I look at the sky, it makes me want to cry. I see my husband because it was a joy that we got to do. It was a joy that he taught me and I learned so much about. And I feel that with my injury, it was something that I could no longer participate, but we found a way for me to get back up there and fly again. So, Bill, touch a cloud for me. Thank you.
Hi, we're getting lots of love in the live stream from all over. We have Amsterdam, Bristol, Florida, Los Angeles. But Jenna from Los Angeles is asking, what did you learn or gain from doing this performance?
What did you learn or gain? Miss Connie, you got anything to say about that? Because if you don't, I won't make you.
I am a reading specialist, and so I have people in front of me. And I work with kids. I also work with adults, because there are adults in this country, United States, who are illiterate. And I never really, even as I was a reading specialist, I never really thought about that. But then, okay, so, all right, so I have a bag of tricks because I was a reading specialist for 40 years. And I have very unorthodox ways, strategies, and they have worked. So the principals learned to just leave her alone. She'll, just look at her data. It's there. She gets them moving. And one of the ways I figure out what might work is by something we call student or kid watching. And that means you look and watch what people who have not figured out how reading works, what do they do to manage the fact that they don't know how reading works? Do they skip over the word? Do they look back? Do they look for little words within a polysyllabic word? Or do they say, Mom, help me? Well, what do they do? And I have to, well, kids are one thing, but I also work with adults. And there was this woman, I actually interviewed her to babysit for my daughter because I had to go back to work. And I used to leave her, do this and that and the other, and she would always listen intently, and I'd just bop off to work. And when I found out she couldn't read, I'm going, well, how did you do what I was asking, what I wrote for you to do? She said, I know how to listen. I said, oh. And I could remember. Said, oh, okay. But one of the strategies she had, and it's so obvious, when she would go food shopping, she only bought Del Monte vegetables, whether they were frozen or in a can, because they always have a picture. I never even realized that. Then there was Ed. He worked in a hospital, and he was an orderly, and he had to mix solutions to clean stuff, whatever. And I said, well, Ed, if you are struggling with reading, how do you do that? He said, I know what it's supposed to, the shade it's supposed to be, and I know how it's supposed to smell. And I just pour the chemicals in until it's the right color and it has the right aroma or odor. I was, oh my gosh, you're working with, oh, okay, so that's what he did. Then there was Tony, I forget his last name. He wanted to have a driver's license. Now, I don't know how it works in other states, but in Pennsylvania, everything is done on the computer. Well, I guess somebody knew that I was stuck between a rock and a hard place because the program ended because I still had not figured out how I was going to get someone who was illiterate to take his driving test on a computer. That really had stumped me. But when we came here, I think I saw Suzanne do a variation on kid watching when she watched us and told us, you're going to dance. Who's going to dance? Well, she convinced us because you did see, now, did you not see dancing? You did see dancing today, yes. Right, right. And Anita said, okay, now we're going to sing in harmony. And then I could hear the different parts. I said, well, we did it. How did all this happen? So I really think, and I don't think either of them is a reading specialist, I really do believe that they did some kid watching or person watching or student watching because they observed what we could do And that was their starting point. And they just developed this, or helped us to develop it. I don't know. We're all up here because I still don't know how Elizabeth convinced me to come to Alabama. Not that Alabama's not a lovely place, it is. But it just was not on my bucket list to go to Alabama. You know,
All right, me neither, girl.
yeah, so.
I think there's a question, I know we have maybe another one, but I'm sorry, this woman in the back, did you have your hand up? Yeah, right there. Yeah, did you? Yeah. Can we?
I'm coming. I'm coming.
Well, we were talking about the videos earlier, and there's all the gorgeous scenery and flying and things like that. But I was wondering what the symbolic meaning was behind the yellow fabric I saw repeated in all the videos.
Thanks. So the question is, what's the symbolism or the significance of that gold fabric that appears in the different videos? And I know some of you responded to that when you first saw it. What do you remember? What you thought? What did Can you share what? Yeah, freedom. Okay. What else did you all see when you saw it? Sunlight. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Graceful. Wings, yeah, opportunity. I think for me, when I was thinking about the films and wanting to include people that weren't able to travel here, one of the things I thought about, having spent a bit of time on stages, stages are fabulous, but they're dark spaces. And so the first thing I knew is I wanted to have all the films done outdoors. So I wanted the contrast of that, to bring the outdoors in, in that sense. Then I thought, I had been thinking about the whole concept of beauty, and how do any of us define or access what we think is beautiful? And what do we think of in the world is beautiful, and I think also in terms of how we see other people. Who do we define as beautiful, and who do we not assign that language to? And so that piece of fabric is a skirt from an old piece I did many years ago, but I had this sense of wanting just this motif of a beautiful color, a beautiful sensibility sort of floating through each of the films. And then the other thing that kind of came in so much was a lot about birds and flying. I did give a writing prompt about if you could fly, and people wrote about that. And then Anita, had that in the songs as well. And so there was just this image about freedom and going up rather than coming down, and thinking about, it goes back to Ronell's opening about, when you're above someone or when you're below them, no matter if it's due to age or size or whatever, it impacts how you see things, right? So I was really interested in sort of flipping the sense of how do we see people and how do we see them differently in different spaces. Yeah.
I just wanted to share something with the question that what did we get from being a part of this ensemble? I can probably speak for a lot of us that we were not writers, we were not poet, we were not singers. But because of our injury, because of our illness, because of this disability, we got an opportunity that never would have been presented to us had we not had this. So what I've learned is that this is not something that you should be shunned of or afraid of or hiding behind. Embrace it. Look at it as a clean slate, and now you can start and be whatever it is you want. Just do it a different way. And I think that this program has awakened something in me that I didn't even realize was a part of me. And if it weren't for my injury again, I would have never had this opportunity. And that would have been the shame. That would have been the sadness. Thank you.
Yeah, kind of a way to answer all 3 or 4 of the questions that were asked at one time. When we were talking about the animal and about what you got from, the situation and everything that's been going on, I got a lot of eyebrow raises, and I think a lot of people muted me when I decided what my, quote, animal would be. But I had actually chosen a mosquito, and being from Alabama. But but the thing was, what a lot of people don't realize about mosquitoes is that mosquitoes are kind of like people with disabilities. It's that we tend to need a lot from others in order to give a basic function for a lot of stuff that people take or don't really see the value in. But without mosquitoes, getting your blood, they can't actually be able to produce and pollinate for the smallest flowers that other than mosquitoes would not get pollinated at all. So, and other things would not obviously get pollinated without those flowers. But the thing is that the things that we can learn from each other, and, although we need more help than other people, it's a lot of times the things that we can provide, the value that we can provide is the perspective, because a lot of times our culture really is defined and our value is defined by how we treat the least of these, like the Bible verse talks about. And I feel like whenever we are vocal about helping others, whether we are helping people either emotionally or mentally or however we can provide, I always tell my mom I do the books and she does the labor, because, it's like job security. But we all provide a specific service and a value in our home. Some more physical labor and some more mental labor, but we all see the value in what we provide and we don't diminish it just because it's not a bronze type of labor.
So I can't talk, but I think I'll find myself. I worked at Lakeshore Foundation in aquatics for 10 years and taught a class specifically for people with MS and for people with Parkinson's disease. And I also worked with a man who had a very high spinal cord injury, doing Shakespeare as a way to express himself. And we did performances at Spain Rehab and some other places in Birmingham. So I came into this project very arrogant. I knew people who had different kinds of abilities, and thank God for the kindness and the generosity of everyone here. I don't know what it's like to live in anybody else's body or mind or spirit. And I feel like we all learned and we all are gonna live together forever. I'm just kidding. I think we're done with that, but it's just, I think as y'all said so well, that it's a big circle that from where I sit is not where you're sitting, and what you took away is valuable. It's like we get to peer into each other's worlds when we take the time to listen like that. And I think we all listened, and so did you. So thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
On behalf of all of us, the cast and crew, I wanted to give a really big, heartfelt thank you to Dr. Ewan, who is in the audience right now. I am so grateful that you are dedicating part of your career to not only so much, we have so many physical needs, and so much of the occupational therapy that we receive is to do tasks of daily living, which of course is very, very important. But thank you for also looking at the therapeutic and the mental health component of occupational therapy. I think we are all better versions of ourselves thanks to this study and thanks to this program. So let's all give Dr. Ewan a big round of applause. Thank you.
And I was just told to go quickly, so I'll go quickly. But I just wanted to answer to what we got out of this, and I know I'm speaking for a few of us, but we've gotten connection from this program, from the time I could say I spent with Elizabeth doing the studies, then the months we spent together on Zoom, and then now these weeks here. It's been great connecting. A lot of us post-injury or post-disability became a bit more reclusive, not as active or as social as we used to be because of some of our limitations, but this literally forced us or coerced us to get out of those, our little shells, our little protective bubbles at home. And even not knowing each other very personally, we all connected and started supporting each other throughout this whole process, whether we were running lines together or checking on each other, how we were feeling, or ordering food together and, having our little time to hang out socially outside of just the rehearsals and stuff. So I know many of us have talked about, it's coming to an end. This is our last performance. Some of us are leaving early in the morning, so we really don't want that feeling of it all coming to an end, and we're gonna work on how to connect. So again, I think that's what I've gotten the most out of this whole process.
I'd love to ask the OT students the same question about what have you learned, or what has your experience been like as a future health professional?
Yeah, so I'm just going to reiterate some of the things that I've heard from what they've said. That community piece, I mean, you hear about, oh, it's great to have friends, it's great to have family, but that doesn't mean it has to be your next door neighbor. It can come from anywhere, and it's so important. But also just, I've learned little things along the way from all of them. But one of the biggest things that I'll take from this is, going forward and becoming a therapist, looking at the people I might work with and saying, yeah, you can do it. You can do more than you think. And here's the proof, And so and there's so many more things, but yeah.
I'll keep it brief, and I won't cry this time. I've gotten a lot out of this. I've gotten a lot more spiritually than, the knowledge has been fantastic, but something in my soul has been healed by working with these people. I'm gonna do it again. I've learned so much from each and every one of y'all, and I really appreciate you welcoming us with open arms. My biggest takeaway is, I talked to somebody last night, and you never know the impact that something like the arts can give somebody. When you get so bogged down in the list of things that you need to do and checklists and what can you do, what can you not do, it gets really hard, and sometimes you miss seeing the whole person and seeing exactly what else they might be interested in. So I want to bring the arts back into, it's already a big part of OT, but I want to bring it back into healthcare in general. The arts in healthcare is so, so important.
I'm not an OT, but I am a mental health therapist, and then I also was the assistant dance director for the show and got to work pretty closely with the entire cast and then also with the OTs. And I guess something that I said yesterday, which, different field of therapy, but it's all with the emphasis of helping others, that we get really stuck on labels, and sometimes that can be helpful because it can better identify maybe what's going on, but then that becomes sort of the way we walk around in the world. And so from a mental health perspective, talking about depression and anxiety, that rather than I'm depressed or I'm anxious, that probably all of us are going to go through a period of time where we experience depression or anxiety, but really what those things are clusters of symptoms rather than something that is part of us and then becomes like how we walk around or what we're seen as rather, but it's a reaction to lived experiences. And I think for me personally, it was quite humbling as someone that, prides themselves on working in mental health and advocacy. There's a lot of blind spots that I learned in these past 2 weeks as not being a person of disability. And so that I'm really grateful for that. And I think, from a helping profession, I think it's really important for us to remember that it's a conversation rather than only I'm teaching you knowledge, because you're the person in your body, and I have some things to provide, but also I'm learning from you, because not one size fits all.
We have now almost hit 2 hours, so just want to, I know y'all have worked really hard, so I'll let Suzanne close with whatever she'd like
Thanks, Kimberly.
to say.
Yeah, thanks for staying for this. It's, for us, always really a learning experience. I've been doing this for many, many years, having conversations with audiences. I learn a lot, and I think the performers always learn a lot. But I also think the audience learns a lot because it's a chance to process what just took place. Before we close, I just want to do a shout out to Anita Hollander, my lovely, lovely collaborator on this. And I'll just make it quick, but Anita is a 40-year performer in Broadway and television, and as well as a composer, and also a huge, has served as an advocate and a representative for disability in the arts in Hollywood, Broadway, and television, really bringing that focus and representing that mission for many, many years. She and I didn't know each other. I saw her on a webinar a couple years ago. I thought she was terrific. I found her somehow, and we met up in New York, and I asked her if she might write a song for this show that I was making, and I shared some writings from the people I'd been working with, and as you can see, she contributed far more than a song. She contributed a whole score for the show, and I'm just gonna give her 1 minute to just add whatever she might before we close.
Well, thank you all for being here, and I hope I get to meet the good doctor afterwards, because I really appreciate all of the ways that you have brought arts and medicine together, because I've gone through so much medical stuff for so long, and it's fantastic. And I most want to also meet Birdie if I get a chance. It was really nice to hear from you. I didn't know what Suzanne definitely wanted from me, but when I started hearing everybody talk and read their things on Zoom, that's when I thought, oh my gosh, New York, that is a song. Like every word she said was in, every word of the song was her words, even though she wrote like a 10-minute, 15-minute monologue about being a New Yorker. But it was all written there, and it's all in the song. And when Allison talked about this heart-wrenching story about one disabled person thinking they should have helped this other disabled person, it was, to me, a perspective I had never known in all of these years, and it spoke to me so much. And then all of the things, like when Nancy talked about flying, it was like, that has to be in a song somewhere. And then when somebody said understanding from the perspective of where we sit, that had to be the song. So then my Broadway mentality came in, and it was like, we have to have an opening song, and it has to be nice, and then we have to end with something with real dignity and, and integrity. But that's what happened. So I'm deeply grateful. I didn't know what to expect either when I came down here, and it reminded me, like it happens so often, that never tell somebody they can't sing. Please, never. If you take anything from this today, never say to yes, or dance. Never say to someone, well, you don't have much of a voice. That's the thing. I know people who have been told all their lives they can't sing. And that is simply not true, because when you put all these people together and you sing together, it doesn't matter what that individual voice is, because that voice is part of this whole beautiful thing, and it lifts everybody up, and you could hear them. You could not hear one bad voice in the whole thing. So for me, it reminded me something so vital that, for me, singing music is everything. And to watch the dancers, I've danced in a wheelchair too, and to watch that beautiful flowing dance, it just made me so happy. So I am very thankful for being here, to come down from New York and go back up there. 3 blocks from Times Square is where I live, and it's quite different from Alabama, and it's quite different from the incredible accessibility of Birmingham, Alabama, the Lakeshore Foundation. Unbelievable. Everyone here attests to the fact that we've never stayed in a place so accessible. And I have to shout out to the Civil Rights Institute, which was the institute which we all decided we wanted to go and see, and it was incredible. So Birmingham now has gone up to here in my consciousness, and I will be telling everybody I can about this wonderful city and this wonderful world that you have here. So thank you all very much.
We have
Just a thank you for 3 amazing women that are up here. The cast has worked very hard on these. Suzanne, Anita, and Lauren Elizabeth. We actually have some more work to do on that, so I'm gonna have to take them back, but you can open it, yep. And those were put together by the cast and Aviva, we've been sneaking around. All the words on the back are words to describe each of you.
Well, thank you again for being here, for supporting this program today. There was a live stream today, and there will be a recorded version of this that I think is going to be made available. On your way out, the anthology, which has writings from these folks, many more than I included in the script, are free. So please help yourself to an anthology, and thank you for coming.